Hello everyone, thanks for joining in. My name is Adrian at Trevisan, and I'm the founder of Umana Medical Technologies, which is now part of the GPI group. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the work we have been doing over the past years in relation to what we think is the future of medicine, and that are our nano-based tattoo sensors, which we refer to them as the smarter skin sensors, and the platform, the telemedicine platform we've been developing together with the whole team over the years, and which we are deploying in a number of places at the moment. I wanted to get started by explaining to you the four phases, I believe, uh, that are of the development of medical devices. Medical devices, as you know, have passed from being very large devices that basically, instead of helping patients in most cases, restricted the patient's movements. Okay, and we called the phase one medical devices, as explained by Yang et al. In a paper published, I believe, in 2012. Basically, the phase one devices were very clunky, very large devices that were certified, okay, but that basically didn't help the patients living a normal life. Very restrictive, and at the same time, not letting the patients living the normal life, and thus not giving us real data that doctors, etc., could be relied on, because of course they had the patients staying at home doing nothing because they were too large. This went on to go to the phase 2 and phase 3, which basically always saw medical devices getting smaller and smaller and still retaining the same quality of devices. And we believe that what we're going to be presenting today is what are the start of a phase 4 in these type of devices, because of course now we're talking about nano-based devices that are so small that don't impede the patient in any way possible, and at the same time gives the ability for medical professionals, etc., to get a real world snapshot of the life of that particular patient, because the patient can live his life normally, can go swimming, can do whatever they like, and at the same time is contributing by giving very good data that can be monitored, that can help doctors to monitor him better, but at the same time also to make diagnostic decisions for that particular patient. In fact, the smarter skin sensors, as you can see here, are the thinnest type of sensors we've been working on, that are about 50 micrometers in thickness, thus not giving the ability to the patient to feel as if they have a sensor on them. Okay, they are ultra conductive, stays up on the patients for up to 5 to 7 days. Okay, are waterproof, so the patient can live his life basically how he's supposed to be, not actually staying on a sofa full of wires and cables. Okay, and of course the most important thing is that they are fully certified as a top grade clinical sensor. That's very important for us. But in order for us to achieve all this, we needed to look at a little bit of a larger picture. So we needed to be able to build an infrastructure that could help both the patient and also the medical professionals, technicians, nurses, okay, to be able to collect this data in real time and take a concrete action on that. And we knew that to be able to do that, we needed to build a technology infrastructure that was both hardware, as we were doing, so the tattoo sensors, the device, etc., but also with a solid platform, solid software platform that could help everyone involved. Of course, we actually got started into building a solid infrastructure. Then, actually, of course, we collaborated with GPI into developing a part of their FIBO platform. We're going to see it in action in a while. Okay, that would enable both the doctors to have real time active notices, notifications, etc. But also for the patient to have that peace of mind that someone is monitoring. Of course, with our system, we had to choose a set of vital signs to monitor, not just the ECG. So we got started on getting a system for heart activity, so ECG up to 6 channels in real time. We also have other vital signs such as heart rate variability, respiration, blood pressure, fall detection, and a number or 2 new vital signs that have been extremely useful now that we've been monitoring a lot of patients with COVID, which is the SpO2, so the blood oxidation, and the body temperature in real time. This, of course, enable us to be able to monitor medical condition as it progresses in conditions such as COVID, but also such as people recovering from medical conditions such as heart problems, heart surgery, etc., and allows the medical professionals to keep an eye in real time without the need for those patients to be inside a medical institution, which is extremely important. However, to do this, we have 2 types of sensors. So the good thing about our system is that you don't need to change the whole system, but there is a decision to be made at point of care. At point of care, the doctor, nurses, etc. decide whether to go for what we call is the Smarter Skin sensors or for the Smarter Skin Plus. Both sensors have the same name of monitoring the patient. However, one of them is designed particularly, the Smarter Skin, as a proper telemedicine, general telemedicine telemonitoring system. So it has only 1 channel of ECG, and of course then it has all the other vital signs. But this is particularly focused towards those patients which don't have a severe condition but are under observation. However, then the Smarter Skin Plus, it comes also with 6 ECG derivations and all the other systems, and is more aimed at patients with a more stronger pathology or the ability for the medical professionals to be able to do a medical diagnosis based on those data. Of course, it uses the same device that goes on the tattoo sensors to record, etc. And the doctor and nurse can at the last minute decide to go for either of them, because all they have to change is the consumable part of the product. And that, I think, is something that is very useful for people that are monitoring patients for a long time and can have a choice on what they really need and want to go to look for. That, I think, is very important for us. As you can see, in fact, here, my colleague Antoine is actually showing you the devices, the tattoo sensors, the 2 different sensors that a doctor, etc., can decide to go on, and now actually is also putting on the actual sensor itself. It's a very easy process to do. It doesn't involve any wires or cables actually for it, so the patient actually can live his normal life. And of course, it transmits, thanks to our technology, thanks to our nanotechnology, it transmits the highest possible quality data in real time through the infrastructure we're talking about. Okay? Of course, on top of the tattoo sensors, we have our very small amplifier processor, which we call the 2-1 heart monitor. The 2-1 heart monitor, basically, the aim of this device is to collect all the data, analyze it on board, and then decide whether to keep it all on board and download everything at the same time, which we do that in a cardiology test called Holter, or it sends the data in real time so that a telemedicine platform is able to give first response to it. Of course, the device is up to standard as a diagnostic device. It has the ability to store continuously on board for 24 hours or actually send this data in real time every minute or two. Okay, it actually records the respiration rate as well, apart from all the other vital signs we told before. It also has an accelerometer so that we can see if the patient, for example, falls. We have something called a fall detection. This is very, very useful, especially when you're monitoring very weak patients or even elderly patients that are more prone to falling and therefore need immediate access and immediate help to actually help them out. Okay. Now you can see, as you can see, my colleague Antoine again is actually putting on this device, and it's showing you how easy it is due to its magnetic attachment to actually be able to take it on and off, okay, at the same time without affecting the quality of the sensor. Okay? Something that's also very, very important and we focus a lot on is that all our algorithms, we utilize a number of artificial intelligence algorithms. Now I'm saying this in inverted commas because lately everyone is using the term artificial intelligence in anything. However, I wanted to specify that when you're dealing with diagnostics or the decision for a particular pathway of care of a particular patient, you need to be very careful on what you say in these terms of algorithms. In fact, our algorithms have all been certified by our notified body. Basically, both the filtering of the ECG, the detection of the abnormalities, and the ability to deal with all these. Of course, we're very careful in what we say in this regard, because nowadays these are very, very useful tools that enable doctors and researchers to make predictions about the future, about the diagnosis of a particular patient, and therefore validation is at the highest when we're dealing with these type of algorithms that are important for diagnosis or a major impact on the actual patient himself. Now, what is our device can be used, as I said before, in two modalities. It can be used in something called the monitoring mode, which is attached to a medical telemedicine platform that is all the time collecting this data and then working out on how to give first response to these patients. Okay, or in holter mode. Holter mode is when the device keeps all the data on himself, and then all the data is dumped at once at the request of a particular doctor or medical professional. Okay, so now in monitoring mode, as you can see, there is an advantage for both the patient and the doctor. Okay, the patient himself has control over his own data, and therefore we adhere a lot to empowering the patient to be able to control, okay, and have control of his own future and of his own medical status. Okay, apart from that, the patient can decide who actually views this data and has access to this data in real time. Apart from that, basically the system, as we said before, when you're using it in monitoring mode, allows it to connect to a telemedicine platform, and therefore via SMS, via email, or via phone call, this patient will actually have 24-hour peace of mind that someone is actually monitoring him. Okay? Of course, for doctors, on the other hand, it's very comfortable because they can access this data from remote locations. They don't need to physically be present close to the patient to have an idea or to have a close look at the situation. And apart from that, actually, of course, it allows the doctors to freely be able to refer patient by sending the data of these patients to even other specialists. We have also a platform for doing that, and basically be able to create a community and therefore an approach, what we call a peer approach to solving problems for the patient, making it a much more agile system in which only the patient benefits. It benefits big time because, of course, by having differentiation, diagnosis, and others, it enables the patient to be on a faster pathway to get the cure, the help that he needs. Okay? As we said before, we have actually been around a while, and together with our partners, we collaborated a lot with a number of partners, a number of universities, and with a number of professors. The technology itself has been validated and published about that. In fact, in a study dating a couple of years ago, our technology was compared with what we call wet electrodes, so the big, large, clunky electrodes that one can find in hospitals with gel, etc., and with other metal dry electrodes, so other sensors that use electrodes which are thicker than ours. That's the difference between something that we've been working on together with what's already on the market. And it showed that even if our patient can go around, do whatever they like, the results are very similar to the wet electrodes used in hospital, and therefore we usually refer to these as gold standard. Okay? This is because mainly the sensor is so thin on the skin that actually becomes part of the skin and therefore gives us better and nicer readings due to the conductivity of this actual technology. Okay? So, as we said before, when we're using our monitoring mode, of course, the patient will need to have a mobile app. This actually, of course, empowers the patient because he can have real-time access to actually this type of data. However, of course, the mobile is very important for the patient to actually have it. Okay, and the system itself, as we said as well before, is uploading all the time on the telemedicine platform, and therefore the patient is assured an end-to-end solution that can help him actually with his both his condition, especially if he's using the Smarter Skin Plus, and he can actually have direct access to a diagnostic platform, and or actually being the peace of mind that someone is actually monitoring his condition and he can actually live a normal life. However, there is also another way of how to use our system. In fact, we work with hospitals to use our devices now as a replacement of the standard Holter system. Our system actually gives the ability for the patient to actually go. First of all, an explanation of what a Holter test is. A Holter test is usually a test that actually is done when a patient has some abnormal heart or palpitations, okay, heart conditions, and therefore usually is referred to being recorded for 24, 48, or 72 hours, okay, at the same time. Okay, so basically, the patient is wired up usually with cables. Our device doesn't use cables, but the standard, as you can see on the upper part of the slide, is what a normal Holter would look like. Okay, and is sent home. Unfortunately, because the whole traditional Holters are usually quite bulky and with wires, the patient doesn't live the normal life during that period of time. Okay, and he usually stays at home on the sofa doing nothing. Now that goes against the principle of why you do a Holter, because a Holter needs to physically have real life readings, otherwise it's not very useful. So with our device, of course, since it's very useful, very easy to use, and it doesn't actually look, it's very, you hide it very easily under a suit, under a t-shirt, patients can actually, and are encouraged to do the Holter, but go to work normally, do whatever they usually normally do, because of course this will give a more accurate halter, and therefore, in this case, diagnosis can be done in a much faster way. As you know, with this system, the patient doesn't need to have a mobile app, and in fact, is actually encouraged not to have a mobile app because by seeing at defaulting data, the patient might have an anxiety episode because, of course, the patient is aware that he has a condition, and the question mark actually that the patient has usually results in higher blood pressure and other problems. So, what usually doctors actually suggest this patient is they put the sensor on them, they send them home, and tell them to go back to the clinic after 24, 48, or 72 hours. Of course, our system in that case records everything on the device, and when the patient goes back to the clinic, all the data is dumped in real time, and the doctor can then make a proper diagnosis on what the cause is. Okay. So, what I wanted to talk to you now is about what we call our end-to-end system. As we said before, in order for us to make things work properly, we actually needed to create an infrastructure of software. Now, what we built is the ability for the patient to, in real time, not have the normal traditional telemedicine platform, but what we did is we have a mobile phone app for the patient. Okay, as you can see in this video, my colleague Antoine's data. Basically, you can see that he is now actually having the real-time results on his data from 6 channels of ECG and all the other vital signs. Okay? Now we can see that that data is visible online using the FABO platform. Okay, so that platform is actually recording all the data, and the medical professional, technician, etc., can in real time view the data. However, apart from that, we have a system, a backend system, which we refer to as Omnia, which is a logic type of system in which the system itself utilizes the latest in artificial intelligence algorithms and categorizes the abnormalities of that patient into 3 levels, into if it's okay, if it's of a medium risk, or if it's at a higher risk and therefore an immediate action is needed upon. But we don't stop there. With our system, if a doctor is not sure and needs to refer that data to a cardiologist, for example, etc., there is the ability to open that data in a software which is certified for diagnosis called the Biosignal Studio, okay, and a proper diagnosis report according to the diagnostic rules and according to the ESC standards, okay, can also be created by the doctor and released. And that is very important because that is the difference from the traditional telemedicine platform, which is usually just monitoring, and now we are going into diagnosis, and this is very important. As you can see in the Biosignal Studio, there is the ability to create a diagnostic view at all this. Okay, this actually, as you can see here, actually is the system behind the FABO platform, behind all our logic, okay, which basically enables technicians and doctors to monitor not one patient, but groups, large clusters as well of groups, okay, at the same time, because if there is an abnormality, the notifications will be given straight out by the system, and therefore you don't need to have a person looking 24/7 over one patient, because the system alerts you as soon as one of that group actually has actually an abnormality that needs to be looked at. Right? Of course, we're just scratching FABO, and in fact, basically FABO, the good thing about it is that it's very modular. It's certified on its own right as a medical device, and it's very modular, that has a number of other modules that can be attached to it, including questionnaires, dynamic questionnaires, onboarding of patients, the ability to make a televisit in a very easy way, okay, and the ability to load files such as DICOM, etc., without using any footprint in a way that actually can be used also for diagnosis. Of course, FEBO itself has a number of case studies which has been adopted during both COVID and also in other conditions. Okay? As you said before, the technology itself has published a number of articles and had also been chosen as the groundbreaking technology for a front cover of a very important industry journal. Whatever I presented here, we are covered by patents and certifications for our technology, and all our software, hardware, and algorithms come as a diagnostic, certified as a Class 2A medical device for diagnostic purposes. Thank you very much for attending this lecture. I hope you enjoy the rest of the program